Um,
All right, you guys. So a few days ago, Daryl Morey, Sixers president and GM, was at his annual Sloan conference. For those that don't know, it's a conference where they have guests and they talk about analytics and basketball and all that dorky nonsense. But he had some interesting comments on the Sixers and on the season. Um, I got a gist of what he was saying, but I never actually reacted to the clip. I wanted like the full conference so I could just go through and see his comments. And at first I didn't want to really read it because I don't want to hear this idiot spew any more drivel. But then I decided it would be maybe funny or entertaining to record my reaction to what this nincompoop had to say. So let's hear what he had to say. To provide some context. This guy is, I believe he's a professor at MIT, and he's a Sixers fan. Obviously, that's Daryl Morey. That's Pablo Torre, who is the host or moderator, whatever you want to call it.
What's the account ID?
Well, no, it gets
So
worse,
let's
Daryl.
fast forward to when he
I
talks
then
about the
became a
Sixers.
moderator for the Sixers.
Was there?
It was really quite my user ID. But I do think, as a fan, one of the things
We can
that
just
I
put NLP on it and figure it out.
Exactly.
It
I
wouldn't
think you
hard
should
at
be
all.
able
We're going to find out,
yeah,
Daryl. Don't worry.
Natural language processing.
this is a Frank Baum situation all over again. What I do think, and I'm really curious your guys' opinion on this, I think as a fan, what I've noticed is that wins matter, but it's shocking to me how much of my pleasure comes from a bunch of other things. The underdog story, the person who just shouldn't be scoring this much but scores this much. I was happiest as a Sixers fan during the process years, which is a weird thing to say. I would watch it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. So, for those that don't know, the process years is when the Sixers decided to rebuild from the ground up by trading away all their good players and trotted out the worst possible team for about 3 years. This man is here saying that his favorite time as a Sixers fan, and he looks 50 something years old. His favorite time as a Sixers fan was when they were getting skull fucked every night and won a grand total of 10 games every year in an 82 game season. That's what he's saying. Not watching Allen Iverson in his prime, not watching Joel Embiid. He was not watching the Sixers win a championship in 1983. He was definitely old enough to watch that. His favorite memory was watching a team win 10 to 15 games for 3 straight years. It's one thing to watch players and like the underdog story. If that's your favorite thing to watch, go watch Air Bud. Professional sports isn't for you. This person is extreme. These people are dangerous. These dorks. Seriously. This person belongs in a mental institution. Please leave your belt and your shoelaces at the door. Seriously, that is certifiably insane.
Every game.
I can't believe he said that.
And I don't know what that reveals about sport, but
It reveals that this season for
It doesn't reveal anything about sports. It reveals something about you. You're a loser.
the Sixers is going to be a really enjoyable one.
no offense, Daryl, but it has not been. And I'll tell you why it has not. And I will
Me
tell
neither.
you. Yeah, and we're in the same boat. It's not been because the storylines have not been captivating. And if I think of sports as entertainment, like I would love to know, I would love to turn an algorithm on what makes a captivating storyline.
Again, how are you capturing human emotion with an algorithm? These people are.
There's just some storylines that just keep you hooked. You want to go back for the next game. You want to know what's going on. And so, is that part of the objective function? Is that part of? And if I was running a team, I would be asking myself, or is that an illusion? Like, look, you guys are thinking to yourself, storylines matter. We've looked at the data. There's only one thing that matters. It's wins. I don't know. I'd love to know.
I don't focus on wins. I focus on championship. And I would say the Philly fans surprised me.
This will be good. I can't wait to hear what he says.
So I guess it's 2 seasons ago now. We were up 3-2 on the Celtics. Objectively, in Vegas, we were at the highest odds to win the championship that year.
So just for context, they were the highest odds to win the championship because they were up 3-2, while the other West teams were both 2-2 in their semis, I believe. So the fact that they were the highest odds doesn't mean they were the best team. It was just common sense. they were the closest to advancing at that point in time. So
because they felt that the team out of the East would win, I guess.
again, that's wrong. I just explained why.
It wasn't like above 50. I've scraped 50 when we were up on the Warriors in 18. And we were up 3-2. Obviously, we then lost a close game at home, which was very frustrating. And then we had a very bad loss in Game 7. And, it's a little bit similar to the LeBron, Michael Jordan argument. Objectively, people should feel better about that. Then the next season, we had a very entertaining Knicks series, like almost famously entertaining. I think it was voted best series that year. And for me, it was just stressful, but for everyone else, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was very stressful. And we lost in 6 games, to a Knicks team that was not as good as the Celtics team we lost to the year before. And I was very down after the loss. And I was like, man, people are going to be so angry. And they were angry. Obviously, everyone wants us to win. But they were less angry than the year before. And anger is all that drives Sixers fans, as far as I can tell.
I genuinely think this man was dropped on his head as a child. Let's take this back. In 2023, that was the best Sixers team you've had in the Joel Embiid era. You were up 3-2 against the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference semifinals, 1 win away from finally getting to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2001. The year 9/11 happened, 2001. You were that close, and you had a home game, and your 2 best players choked. And then in Game 7, they choked even worse, and at the podium in the postgame, instead of taking accountability, Joel Embiid decided to make fun of Giannis because he's a 30-year-old child and he'll never get it. But that's a conversation for another day. So then you decide to let James Harden walk, and you sell Sixers fans on this hope of a gap year, like you're an 18-year-old college girl studying in Spain for 1 year, traveling. Except this is sports. You sold the fans on a gap year that last year, they were a good team with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, but you were going to add a player on the offseason, and you weren't really expecting to win a championship. So that's why fans weren't as upset, is because we had no hope at that point. Not to mention the fact that Joel Embiid he's been injured every year in the playoffs. He was injured way worse last year than he was in the previous year. So, again, our expectations were that they weren't a championship team. Now, of course, you did end up signing Paul George in the offseason, so your plan worked to an extent, but we all know how that worked out. But the point is that we had higher expectations in 2023 as opposed to last year. So I'm not sure why he finds it so difficult to grasp this concept.
They were less angry.
Anger and irrational hope.
Yes. The aggregators were going to have a field.
And by the way, anger doesn't drive us. Anger is a reaction to winning driving us and you not providing us with wins. Anger doesn't drive Eagles fans. Success does. That's why they're happy. I don't see a lot of angry Eagles fans anywhere.
Field day with this, Pablo. I know you're excited.
My kid's going to go to private kindergarten.
And they think this is funny. They think this is funny.
But they were less angry, was my perception. I don't know for sure. It's not like we surveyed everyone, how angry are you? And that really threw me.
Why did it throw you? Because you have no self-awareness? You have no emotional intelligence whatsoever?
The way we measure it was objectively better, even though still a 0 on the Boolean scale I'm judged on. So it should all be the same, and that surprised me.
Can I put on my behavioral scientist hat for a second? I'm just going to speculate. I'm just going to purely speculate.
Well, you're a Sixers fan, so you can be direct. You can even...
No, I even think negative emotions are fine. I think the thing that is dangerous is disinterest. And if you think about sports, it's easy to dismiss sports as entertainment. But what else in our culture can have people of very different backgrounds, different generations, talk to each other and feel they meaningfully touched, communicated, had a meaningful meeting of the minds,
Agree. That's one of the great things about sports is it brings people together for one common goal. Unfortunately, the Sixers are so bad that nobody cares.
Parents and children, grandparents. It's quite a unique place as a cultural artifact. And the main thing that it does, if I think of its core contribution to society, is it provides conversation. And I think the worst thing is anger is good. You got something to talk about. Like after that Celtics thing, you meet a Sixers fan.
What he's hinting at is that the worst thing that a fan can have is apathy, where you don't even care. You're not happy or sad. You just don't give a shit. And that's how many people feel about the Sixers. Because this doofus on the left, Daryl Morey, has completely destroyed the team by signing Joel Embiid to a 3-year, $190 million contract extension.
It was easy. You knew what you would do. You would complain. And complaining with another person is its own form of connection.
It's therapeutic,
it's those
yes.
periods when you don't really have anything to talk. It's disinterest, this feeling that the story is old. It's kind of stale.
We're always interesting.
Yeah, right.
The curse,
Both sides, yeah.
Both
yeah.
directions.
Is that.
And it is always interesting. And so I wonder to what degree one should just be maximizing engagement. I know that we've had bad experiences with that, but
Pablo's department.
That's
Yeah.
right. Sendel, if you want to trash any other geniuses, feel free. But I actually want to bring it back around.
You're not a
the
genius.
larger
You're all
picture
just
that
dorks
I'm
with a
sort of
degree.
Saying without explicitly saying it is that the nerds won, okay? Right? The whole debate about oh, when are the Lakers going to show up at Sloan, which is a headline for a long time. The last holdout of this conference from the basketball ops department used to be the Lakers a dozen years ago.
The Lakers are busy winning games, by the way. That's why they're not there.
Then everybody shows up. And
I think Jeannie Buss game actually is the
That's right.
first Laker.
Yep.
That's it. Most of the time, they're not really talking about the Sixers specifically in a basketball sense. It's a whole bunch of talk about analytics and how they've become more involved in sports. But honestly, just reacting to that, he still doesn't get it. It's so frustrating how he doesn't get it. Obviously, this whole analytics thing is whatever. I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, analytics are pointless, blah, blah, blah. But he's just sitting up here and it just shows me he just doesn't have any intelligence, emotional intelligence, any self-awareness, really. That's a better way to put it. And this team is screwed. But that's it for now. Reacted to that. I need to go have a drink or something after that. It just made me mad. I'll be back soon.